You will never be poor again. Start doing this today. They don't want what we know out there. They'll never get those on CNBC, but our school system will never tell us. It's part of the plan.
Fake money, fake future. Stay back. I know the game of the rich. My rich dad taught me. The game the bankers and the rich play is different from what they teach you in school all over the world. What do schools teach you about money? The answer is nothing. And that's not a mistake or an accident. I knew that most people know that the way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is to never teach them what the rich know. If you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which came out in 1997, it's about what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. Poverty hurts. I mean, I don't like it, and I don't like that our academic systems are so corrupt. We know the banking system is corrupt, we know politics is corrupt, but academics are just as corrupt. It's one thing if it's banking or politics, but this is where we send our children, and we trust them to do the right things for them. Yet, they're not being taught something so fundamental. Like you asked your dad when you were a kid, "Dad, why don't they teach us about money?" And it was never mentioned. It never will be. You know something? Share it. What is financial education? It's not get a job, work hard, save money, and invest in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. The financial industry is about two things, debt and taxes. When Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the US dollar became debt. And we still tell kids to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and get out of debt. Now, who tells them to do that? That's the most ridiculous thing there is. The book starts and it says, lie number 1, saving money will make you rich. We were all taught that as kids. Why would you save it and work for it if they can print it faster than you can work for it? Why do you keep saving when they're printing it? The rich don't work for money. Don't touch that stuff. It's very subtle. They don't say, I'm going to train you to be a worker bee for the rest of your life, but they educate you in a way where that's what you become. What else was he trying to do those first few months you were working for him? What was he trying to get across to you? Because he taught you the hard way about money. He said, if you're going to be successful in your life, you've got to find the best teachers. And a great teacher is someone who comes from the inside, not the outside. But in school, you don't know if your instructor is for real or not. That's where the fake teacher comes from. I said, I want you to teach me about money. He said, why should I teach you? He said, but if I teach you, you work for me for free. And I said, why for free? My dad, my poor dad, would not. He said, if I pay you, you'll think like an employee. Your brain will change. If you learn never to work for money, you'll be a rich man. This is powerful. Once you give someone a paycheck, their brain turns off. It had been the promise of a pension and job security, which is kind of a paycheck in disguise, correct? Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Most poor people confuse assets and liabilities. They think their home is an asset. It's actually a liability. An asset is a noun, like a house. Cash flow is a verb. To understand if it's an asset or a liability, it takes a noun plus a verb. So, if the cash is flowing out of your pocket, it's a liability. If the cash is flowing into your pocket, it's an asset. I own rental properties, which are assets. Every month, the cash flows in. Whereas many people have the big house on the hill, and the cash is flowing out. They're going broke. It's a frame of mind. The other thing the poor don't understand is that the number one expense for most people is taxes, yet we don't even see it. Isn't that weird? You walk around and look at your paycheck and say, that doesn't seem right. You don't realize the government has a huge hand in your pocket, and you're doing nothing to minimize that. This is what's very different about the rich and the poor. The rich don't work for money. Their number one expense is tax. There are 3 kinds of income: earned, portfolio, and passive. Earned income is if I get a job, that's earned income. If I'm a doctor or a programmer, that's earned income because I'm working for it. If I buy an apple for $10 and sell it for $20, that's portfolio income or capital gains. Passive income, which is cash flow, is never taxed. That's why all these guys are screaming right now in America, tax the rich. Good luck, because most of the guys complaining don't know the 3 kinds of income, and the rich don't have jobs anyway. They have assets. The average person out there, the poor guy, sends his kid to school, and they don't learn this. Very few people will do what I do, make $1 million and pay 0 tax. My rich dad taught me that by playing Monopoly. That's how it started: 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. Or take McDonald's. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, was in the real estate business. They sell hamburgers, but they buy real estate, so they pay no taxes. Jeff Bezos, worth $16 billion, how much tax did he pay? $1 billion. And that's all legal. Anyone can do it, but most people lack the education. Once you learn how to use debt as money, you can never say, I can't afford it, because the banks will give you money. After the crash of 2008, the banks gave me millions of dollars tax-free. When they ask the average person, why don't you use debt, they can't even get a loan because their FICO scores are so bad. The school teachers will never tell you about this because they don't know it. My poor dad never knew that. You don't know if something is an asset or a liability until you can see which way the cash flows. So, a house, is it an asset or a liability? If it's taking money from your pocket, it's a liability. If it's putting money into your pocket, it's an asset. The US government wants me to provide housing and jobs and borrow money because that's how money is created, through debt. I get huge tax breaks. Everybody can do the same thing if they have the financial education to do it. If people understood the tax code, we'd be more prosperous. But can poverty be passed through genetics? Yes, because it's a type of thinking, an attitude. It's very simple. When people ask me, how do I stop it? I just never say, I can't afford it. Instead, ask yourself, how can I afford it? The reason I have so much money is because I don't say, I can't do it. I ask, how can I do it? I make a lot of mistakes, but that's how I learn. Poor people, like my poor dad, always said, I can't afford it. Do you think I'm made of money? I'm a schoolteacher, I can't do that. I picked that up. My rich dad never said those words. When I meet poor people, they use the words, I can't, a lot. So, the people who say, I can't afford it, I can't do this, I can't go to college, the rich say, I choose not to participate in that. That's one thing people could change today, right now, that dialogue in their head. Stop saying the word, can't. Instead of, I can't afford it, ask, how can I afford it? Because that opens you up to looking at it as an investment in a greater future. When I borrowed $300 million, I couldn't do it. When I asked, I got turned down so many times. Every time I showed the bank my financials, they said, sorry. I said, do me a favor. Why did you turn me down? Can you tell me? If I get these numbers fixed, can I come see you again? They said, sure. It's called rejection, the same as my wife rejecting me for 6 months. It's just a matter of personal willpower and a spiritual signal. If they can do it, I can do it. How can I? And I think it's you who once said, words become flesh. I believe in the Bible too. Intelligence increases through your mistakes, through the ups and downs of what you've learned. Real estate is real estate. What I learned made me richer, not the money. You don't need money to make money. I think every human being has a low point in their life. If they get the message, a new life begins. If they don't get the message, they keep going down. The richer I got was because I didn't need any money. I could use my knowledge to make money. But how did I get there? I made a lot of mistakes. People are afraid of